What's up guys, CedovoiceboxmessedupCrewww here with another video. Guys, again, I had just recorded this, absolutely a shame. OBS I opened it and it had given me an error, but I could still see the whole screen, but there was an additional screen that was just black. And so I did my recording and the mic came out fine, things came out fine, but my webcam wasn't showing. Now, you would say that that's not really a blocker for me to just release it about my face, but I think the face is quite important when we are discussing things that are quite nuanced, like what we are discussing today, which is, the psychology of, the second episode really in the conversation of, are we in a bubble? And if you have watched my first video, my opinion of this is no, and of course it is a nuanced conversation. Not to say that we are not in a space where prices are rising very quickly and that there is concern that this price might just pop and collapse, but it's a lot more of a nuanced conversation, and I don't think we are in the same space as, say, what we saw with the .com situation, which many call a bubble. Before we continue, guys, I went to a work event yesterday, so I wouldn't, I know last time I had to redo the video again. It's a pain, but it doesn't bother me too much. Again, today, I don't mind doing this video again, but I went to a work event yesterday and I spoke loads and loads and talked loads and loads. It was great. And as you can probably tell, my voice is a bit croaky and it was getting pretty bad at the end of the other video. So I've got some water with me and I may need to drink some water throughout this video. So, it's just the fact that I'm recording again with this croaky voice. When I was done, I was like, thank goodness I'm done. I'm going to drink and just relax. But I'll just make a video again. Also, guys, again, I appreciate the support you guys have been giving me. Comments in the videos, the conversations we've been having. Again, if you're having a great time here, leave the video a like. Give us a comment if you enjoy what's going on, as in you want to take part in the conversation. And if you want to, give us a subscribe as well. As I mentioned, there's no pressure to to subscribe. I tend to watch videos for weeks and weeks before I end up subscribing to the person. It does take me a while to decide, I will subscribe, and rather than just seeing it come up as I recommended, I will ensure that it comes up by being a subscriber. So if you don't want to subscribe, there's no issues. I appreciate you being here. And yeah, again, just before we continue, before I'd mention again just very briefly, guys, if you're in the UK, I do have acrylic display cases to protect your box. I have opened the third Riftbound box. It was great. I pulled a bunch of great stuff. But this is my last sealed, so I thought, let me just put it in an acrylic case. If you're from the UK, you can purchase it from the eBay link in the bio. Of course, if you aren't in the UK, you can still get it, but postage is like £15 if you're, say, for the US. So it may be worth finding someone, nationwide, as opposed to purchasing from myself. And lastly, if you are from the UK, we have the Riftbound Discord, where for UK residents, where you can speak to vendors who are selling at retail price. So that means £100, £120, because they get reprints restock directly from distributors. So you can avoid what we are seeing here, what we will discuss here, which is increased prices. Just before we get into the conversation of the psychology of the collector, and the second stage or second conversation I want to have in terms of, are we in a bubble, and my opinion is no, and why, and psychology between collectors, and why we are psychology behind collectors, rather some facets of collectors, the broad term, and why we are seeing these increased prices. But before we do that, just a quick look at the market. For the booster boxes in the US, at least, we have been quite stable at the 300 mark. Again, 300 is pretty crazy. Hopefully there are restocks soon in December, but for now, the price remains quite consistent. We have seen a sale of 320, so we have now jumped past that 300 mark, which is, again, we are seeing consistent pressure pushing up on Riftbound. We have just seen the reveal of many Spirit Forge cards. We've seen the reveal of Vendetta and the one with Vi, I can't remember the name now. I'll do a video on that later once they've revealed all the Spirit Force cards. I'll discuss all the future sets, but we are seeing an increase in the price to 320. So one thing to keep mindful of, do you want to wait for restock? I would say yes. Or do you want to just, you know, buy one now and you know, open it to, of course, either play the game or collect some cards. In the UK, we are seeing a similar climb. You know, as you guys know, I like to discuss the floor as opposed to the ceiling. And we are seeing a leg up in the floor at, you know, around 220. Before we were seeing a ceiling of 200, but now we are seeing a floor of 220. So we're seeing 220 here, 235, 230, 230, 220. So, you know, we have seen that leg up in terms of the price. And again, the demand is heavy in the UK as well. The demand is high. You know, in the Discord, for example, we're always asking when's, you know, the vendors, when is the restock coming? People are kind of pre-ordering the restock already. They're kind of like, you know, trying to put money down for the restocks already. So we are seeing a climb. The booster box cases remain more or less the same in the US. We are looking at 3x. We are quite stable at this 3x price now. We're seeing 1.9, but generally 1.8, 1.9 we are seeing quite consistent. In the UK, however, we are seeing a leg up. You know, before we were seeing the ceiling of about 1.2k. Sometimes it would hit 1.25 and climb back, go back down. But we are seeing now, you know, we see a sale of 1.27. We see a sale 2 days ago, 1.3. So, you know, this premium continues to climb as the, you know, the floor of an individual booster box climb. You know, now we are seeing 220 as the floor. So we are seeing the premium for the case overall increase. And again, let me drink some water now before I continue. Again, I don't mind doing this again. It's just my voice, because it's just croaky. I mean, it's like, it was, at least in the previous video that I recorded, it was kind of cool because it was like a good few octaves deeper without the croakiness. The croakiness came like at the end of the video, but at least I sounded kind of cooler for most of the video. But now it's just croaky, which is kind of, you know, it's kind of annoying. So Riftbound Arcane, we are seeing something quite interesting at the moment. So, you know, we are seeing prices of 350. We are quite stable at this well, not stable. We have hit this new space of like 350, 330. But actually in the last few days, we are seeing kind of a depression in this. So we are seeing 350, 317, 320, 330, 350. And if we look at the buy now, we are seeing again 350, 330, 320, 315. So we are seeing a depression in that pressure, which is good. So we're seeing 315, which is good. It's nice to know that people can get this at a cheaper price. Again, this retailed at the retail price of this was $65 or, you know, £65. You know, so this is a crazy, you know, we are, you know, in many cases, you know, close to 6x on what you've grabbed. So it's good that it has decreased a bit. So if you haven't bought it, you can at least grab it now before it probably climbs again. And in the UK, we're seeing, you know, 340 is one. We see one in Germany for 350 yesterday. But again, if you look at the buy nows, we're seeing 200, we're seeing 330, 310. So we are seeing that depression. I guess people are sort of cashing out. It is, again, that period for Christmas. People just want to have some, I mean, ultimately, when it comes to pre-sales, you don't get to actually collect your money from eBay until it's delivered. So yeah, I mean, we are seeing a depression, at least in the price, which is good. It's a good thing. So that's kind of the state of the Arcane box. The Worlds box, on the other hand, you know, I am surprised. The last time I looked at this, if you guys remember, it's probably like a week ago. This has taken a very steep climb from 260, 280 to like what we're seeing now of 450, 380, 350, 380, 380, 400, 450, 450. We have seen a major leg up. This is in the US, so of course in the US we know that it's sold out in about 40 minutes, whereas in the UK and in Europe it was still available overnight, so you could still purchase this the next day. And that kind of reflects in the price of the UK and European prices, but we are seeing in the US 400, 350. And again, you guys know I've been talking about the floor for the Worlds bundle. And, you know, a while ago, the floor was like 250, and now we're looking at 350 for the floor. It just highlights the demand for this because it is a cool item to hold on to. It is the Worlds bundle. The Teemo card graded would be pretty dope. It's a great play mat to have if you're at Nexus nights and just playing with friends. So it's a good item, I think now. It's kind of crazy I'm saying it's a good item because I've been saying I don't want it. And now the price has gone up and now I'm saying it's a good price. It's kind of crazy. But many people think it's a good product. So let's just go with that. I think it's an okay product. I think for the price, I wouldn't open it. I would open it if I bought it at retail. I wouldn't open it unless I want to grade the cards. I wouldn't open it personally. So yeah. But we are seeing for the buy nows, we're seeing 400, 450, 350, 370. So we are seeing again that sort of 370, 380 as 350 up to 370 as that floor. And again, you know, we were speaking about £260, $260 as the floor before. So it's pretty excessive. In the UK, there aren't many sales. And again, that's because most people probably were able to get their hands on this. We saw a sale of 300, you know, about a week ago. And we see 200 and this is, well, we're looking at 14%. So that's quite a while back. But in the last, let's say, week or so, 300, 200. And if you look at what's available, we're seeing 260, 320, 300. So you can still get one at 260, but once this is gone, it's the last one. You know, either someone else posts this at a similar price, or you have to now take that leg up and now purchase it at roughly 300/320. So this item is growing in terms of price value, and sorry, I just spilled a bit. Time is taking on being able to get this at it's not really cheap anymore, but at least a price that will be cheaper than what is in the future, I think. So yeah. So guys, you know, that's the, you know, market look, market watch. I do want to discuss what is, of course, the title of the video, which is the second part to my conversation of Are We in a Bubble, which is the conversation around the psychology of collectors and why, you know, collectors are willing to pay the price they are willing to pay. And you know, it's a bit of a, not a depressive conversation. It is in some ways. It's a solemn conversation for sure. You know, if we start off with, and I hope I do this conversation justice the way I did it the first time around. I think the first time around was pretty good. I ended up concluding the conversation in about 26 minutes. The total video was about 26 minutes. I do hope I can do the same again, but just bear with me. It might be a 30-minute video. Hopefully not. You guys probably tell by however long it is once it's uploaded. But let's just start with the, you know, the state of play here, which is that the economy sucks. The economy sucks for the average person. You know, if someone's making an average salary, the economy sucks. You know, years ago, you know, let's say the generation of our parents, of course, I am of Nigerian descent. My parents came to this to the UK in the early 90s. But let's say, for example, the general population, the general Englishman, you know, parents would have been around. You know, the economy decades back was an economy where, you know, a single salary could cover the cost of the whole family. You know, you didn't need a very high paying job. You could be, you know, you can earn 25,000 and be perhaps a postman, be a delivery person, and ultimately be able to, one, have a house that is yours, and two, have a family, and three, sustain all of that. And if you earn just a bit more, you were in a position where you could have a few holidays in the year with the family. You know, the economy wasn't in a state of play where there was stability and there was a macroeconomic situation where you could grow and build something. Now, you know, as you guys, I'm sure you guys are aware, groceries are high, rent is astronomical in London, in the UK. You know, we're looking at 1.2k for one bedroom. We're looking at more. You know, rent is basically the cost of a mortgage. You know, and it's crazy because, you know, the pressure and the ability to save is very tough for people, especially considering that rent is basically half your salary. And it's, you know, as I said, it's the same price as a mortgage. People are clearly able to provide, to pay for a mortgage, obviously, because they're paying for their rent month after month, year after year. However, they don't have the opportunity to save the money needed to get that mortgage. And so, you know, we're starting to see a state of doomerism. Of course, I am 30 now. I am a millennial, just near the end of it. And the situation isn't good for us. However, for those Gen Z, for those, of course, you know, Gen Alpha that are slowly turning 18 soon, for those Gen Beta, I have a newborn who was born this year. This year now starts Gen Beta. You know, for Gen Beta, Gen Alpha, Gen Z, the state of play is catastrophic. You know, you don't need to be an economist to recognize that the economy is terrible for them. We know that earning your average salary will not give you the opportunity to save enough to buy things, to excel yourself, house, be able to earn enough to comfortably date, as a male, to earn enough to be able to provide and, you know, grow a family. You know, and we're creating a sense of doomerism, and you can't blame the young generation for feeling that, because the state of play is so obvious that they cannot do the things that their parents were able to do. Their parents had homes. You know, chances are, you know, again, the parents had homes. Chances are the parents may have to sell their homes in the future just to be able to provide for, you know, their pension years. But we're in a state of play that the current generation, Gen Z, and a lot of millennials cannot make enough and save enough to get that climb up. So, you know, Gen Z, millennials, you know, it's a feeling of being trapped. And with the feeling of being trapped, you know, what comes next is trying to cling on to anything that gives you a bit of pleasure, anything that gives you a bit of, you know, the light in the darkness. And, you know, some people perhaps consume, particularly men, more men than women, tend to consume, you know, content that is a bit more, you know, for an older audience. I imagine you guys understand what I'm talking about. Okay, women probably do it to a less degree, I imagine. Anything for a bit of pleasure in the moment, to satiate them, just to satisfy that need for a bit of light in the darkness. And at the same time, you know, just a bit of, it may involve, you know, doom scrolling. I'm very fortunate that I have managed to kind of break free from that. I quit Instagram last September. I never used TikTok because I knew Instagram was bad enough for me. Let me drink some more water. Instagram was bad enough for me that I knew that if I ever used TikTok, it would just melt my brain. Instagram was melting my brain, and I'm just grateful that I was able to stop. Obviously, there were good laughs you can have on Instagram and so, but I'm sure there's good laughs and you can have good laughs on TikTok. However, you know, where people are doom scrolling, it's you know, it's giving people that pleasure for the moment. And, you know, I'm not here to judge here and there. It's enough to give them that relief for the moment before they go to sleep and wake up and do the whole thing again. You know, they're back into that doom and gloom economy that, you know, that reminds them that, you know, the future isn't bright at the moment. So with that, we are now seeing, and if we start to look into the minds and the thoughts of a collector, as humans, we are becoming more and more individualistic. Of course, we have the internet, which is continuing to grow and only will really grow. I don't really see a state of play where the internet starts to regress. We are seeing the internet grow, and what we are seeing is a growth in individualism, which is a good thing. You know, in the early 2000s when I was born, all we had was TV. Everyone watched the same shows because you had the few shows that were on TV that were in their scheduled slots. And so everyone went to school and everyone spoke about the same things, and maybe it was a good thing then, I don't know. But now, of course, we have Netflix, we have all these different shows, we have people making shows on YouTube and this platform, that platform. People have things they can watch that they themselves only want to watch. You know, I probably don't watch the things a bunch of other people watch. They don't watch what I watch. And so there is a greater sense of individualism, which is good. What that means is we are more separated as humans. There is less to bind us to, so we are feeling more lonely. There is a greater sense of loneliness in that. And so in all of that, as I mentioned, the darkness, that people do want a sense of light. And, you know, in an economy where you know that you are struggling to save and you don't have the opportunity to save, you know, a shiny piece of cardboard, or, you know, a Labubu item, or this item, that item, it could be a bag, it could be a trainer, you know, these items become quite shiny and become almost, you know, a light in all that darkness. And so what we do start to see is we see a draw and a pull towards the TCG space, for example, because this is the main medium I'm discussing. We're seeing a pull to the you know, into this TCG space, and we see it from many factors. Of course, we see it in Pokemon in the form of nostalgia. You know, I grew up on Pokemon. I grew up on really the old generation 1, 2, and 3. That was my thing. My younger brother played gens 4, 5, and up to where we are now. But I generally stopped at Gen 3. I thought it was great, but I was satiated. I was done. I was getting older. Started playing other games, RPGs, League of Legends. But there is a nostalgia factor, and that's one reason why people collect. And you see many people that collect who have stopped playing way years ago, but they collect because it's nostalgia, and it's a shiny item, and it's theirs, it's ownership. Whereas, you know, of course, in this doom and gloom society, we know that there is very little people are able to own at the moment. When it comes to One Piece, for example, the TCG, doing fantastic. People are talking about, is this going to become the next part of the big three, for example? One Piece, biggest manga, of course. Pokemon is the largest grossing franchise in the world at like 168 billion. So again, there's a giant cohort of people that want to feed into that nostalgia and go into the TCG space. One Piece, you know, not really up for discussion. It's basically the largest one manga right now, the most popular one manga right now. It's a great manga. I'm not a fan of the pacing, but it's a great medium of art. It's great art. It's a great piece of art, personally. And so people are flocking to like TCG, and people enjoy the cards. The foiling is fantastic. The Gear 5 Leafy card is great. All the manga cards are great. And that's not so much a piece of nostalgia, but that's just a piece of enjoying something you are currently into. We see here with Riftbound, you know, I played League of Legends from when I was 18 up until, you know, I started in 2013. I stopped playing around 2022. But I played for, you know, 9 years. I've played this game for so long. Now that they have a TCG, I've been following since Project K. I want to get involved. I want to get into this as well. I'm not the TCG playing type. I am here to collect. But again, you know, something just much like One Piece, I'm here because it's something that I like. It's not nostalgia, but it's something that I like, and so I want to get involved. And so with that, we are seeing a pull. And again, you know, Gundam TCG, we're seeing Flesh and Blood, Magic the Gathering is still there. We're seeing Yu-Gi-Oh, we're seeing Sorcery. There's even Locano for Disney. We are seeing there is a pull in this from this TCG space. Even Labubus, other collectibles that are seeing a growth in value. There is a pull to this space to have this shiny item that gives you a bit of relief, that gives you a bit of, you know, light in the darkness. Because it's shiny, it feeds, you know, it taps into that nostalgia factor, or it taps into the I can own something that I like. And what we are seeing with that is, say for example, let's say I bought a card, a Timo card, for £100, and I really like it. It's my light. It's my light in the darkness. I might feel that in 2 months' time, I may want to get rid of it and grab something else that will tap into that again, the light in the darkness feeling. But now, I felt it was worth 100 when I bought it, but now 2 months later, I think it's worth 130. I'm gonna put it up for sale, and someone else who again is being pulled into that direction, the attraction for that item to hold, that ownership, that sense of individualism. I want this particular item that's just mine. They may decide, yeah, I think it is worth 130, so they'll buy it, and then you'll see that kind of happening over and over again until we see this kind of progression and that pressure in the price. Because people just want to hold on to nice things. Of course, there are the investors in this space. Ultimately, people can see from the outside that this is becoming an asset class. You know, the original, if you in 1999 purchased the original Pokemon First Base Shadowless box for $100 or £100, it is now worth $300,000. It is an asset class, whether you like it or not. Some collectors like to say it's not. Why you put your money in this? Ultimately, there are shops that purchase this to sell, you have to be realistic and understand there is an adult factor to this, in that this is a space where people can make money. People, ultimately you need shops to want to stock this, to sell it. These are ultimately assets. Whether you like people jumping in as investors or not, it's a different conversation, and it's a warranted conversation. I think people have the right to have the conversation, but ultimately you need to look at the overall state of what's going on. So people are being pulled into that space, and again, around this time in the previous video, I was basically done. But now we go back to the conversation of, are we in a bubble? Of course, in the first video, I spoke from just purely the economic standpoint. But now we look at the psychological standpoint, and the conversation of, are we in a bubble, needs to be a bit more nuanced. And we want to ask, are we going to see a change in the macroeconomics so that people will be able to, salaries will increase, the price of things will go down, price of groceries, price of rent, house prices will decrease a bit, salaries will go up, people will be able to, buy a house, buy things, start dating because now they can earn more, consume certain contents less, and, be able to go out and be more sociable, sustain a family, grow a family. Are we going to see those sort of parts of the economy start to flourish again? Which would mean that people now don't need to hold on to that light, that cardboard as much anymore. And so the price of these items will go down because people hold them in less value now, because they don't really need them anymore, because there is real light now. They have a partner, they have children, they feel a lot better about life and about the economy, about who's in general. Are we going to see that happen? Do we see the economy moving in that direction? I wouldn't make this video to spit in someone's face and say, yes, I don't think it's happening anytime soon. I'm sure Gen Z also thinks that it's not happening anytime soon. I'm sure the oldest of Gen Alpha probably think the same. I don't think the economy is moving in the direction where, people will start to let go of their cards and drop their cards and no longer want to hold on to these shiny things because they can actually own other assets and other things that can progress their life. Get a house, date, have a family. I don't see these things happening. So I don't see the price of these items going anytime soon, because really, I'm sure you guys are probably going to agree that we only see the economy getting worse, which means that more and more people will come into this space and will be willing to spend more and more of their money that they would have before tried to save in getting these items that are shiny, which means that the price just continues to go up and up and up. And I know it's a bit of a gloomy and solemn conversation, but I think it's important to have this conversation and this nuanced conversation. And yeah, I hope I did it justice. I mean, we are 28 minutes into the video now. I was complete by like 26 minutes last time, but again, the camera messed up, and I wanted to make sure that my face was in the video, because I think body language, the facial structure, just all of that feeds into the nuanced conversation. And I really want this to be a nuanced conversation. I'll leave it there. It's gonna be 30 minutes if I don't. Guys, what do you think? If you think it's a bubble, please leave it in the comments. I had a great conversation last time in the previous video, and I'll try, the I button, I'll try to leave the previous video up there. And it was a great conversation. If you think it's a bubble, leave the comments, let's have a chat. If you don't think it's a bubble, leave a comment, let's have a chat. And yeah, guys, as always, I'll probably do another video of this in the future. This conversation will probably never end. And I'm sure we'll probably see in a year's time, these prices are probably a lot higher than we have right now. So I think there's always more to have a conversation about and more to discuss. But guys, again, if you've enjoyed the content, give us a like, leave a comment, and if you want to subscribe, do so. I'd appreciate that, but you don't have to. But I appreciate you being here. So my voice is croaky. I did the recording again right after. I don't know, no apologies, but hopefully next video my voice isn't croaky. Next video we'll discuss Spirit Forged. Hopefully by then all the cards are revealed, and we'll discuss what's it, Charged? I forgot it's called, Charged and Vendetta, the upcoming sets. Cool, my voice is gone now. See the cards out. Thank you everyone, and yeah.